With a entheogen like Iboga, the Ibogaine, with that they use it in this initiatory way, but it also has the odd property of releasing the opiate-addicted junkie, or sometimes the people who are addicted to crack. It enables them to release from the addictive need, actually. They found themselves after their trips without the desire for junk. And they were all shocked, like, oh my God, this is because they were like waiting for the other shoe to drop, but then they actually felt like, wow, I am not hooked, So there was something immediately engaging about it. On the other hand, it was also very psychologically challenging to begin with. And it took one into a very deep inner world. Maybe you were going to face some of the shadows that has been part of your addictive process and stuff.
Ibogaine is an isolated alkaloid from the root bark Tabernanthe Iboga, which is native to Western Central Africa, Gabon and Cameroon. It's a small shrub that grows in a spread-like root pattern, and they harvest the root bark, and then they do an extraction to achieve the one active alkaloid out of many alkaloids, but the one active alkaloid that seems to be the most effective in treating opiate addiction and cocaine addiction, alcohol, and also for the psychotherapeutic reasons that we use it. It's not like the root bark in the sense that it doesn't have the full spectrum of alkaloids, but all the spirit is the same, and the total alkaloid extract, the Ibogaine, and the root bark, which is 3 medicines that we use. As far as working with people, there's some people I can't work with. And there's a large spectrum of people who seek therapy with the Ibogaine for different reasons, and a lot of people I can work with, and I can pretty much tell pretty quickly in a conversation if I can work with this person or not. And it's really important to establish that relationship, know that I can actually be the one that can help them, because if I can't, that's fine. There's somebody else that might be able to. But it's like, if I know I can't work with someone, I can't work with them, period. And I ask that in meditation, and I ask that in periods of time of quiet, to really evaluate, applications or whatever. Like, it's about working together. I mean, all we're trying to do is provide a safe environment for somebody to do the work they came to do. I'm not their healer. I'm not a shaman. I'm not, I provide a place for them to safely do the Ibogaine and do the work that they've been called to do, just like I was called to do it. And I want to honor those elements, And some people want you to fix them. I'm not here to fix them. I'm not going to take the responsibility of somebody else's life. It has to be their full choice, And under those conditions, I find it pretty comfortable working with people with this, and I feel like I can really go with them wherever they need to go with it.
So Ibogaine is an extraction from Iboga. So you take the root itself, you do the extraction, and it became the first a total alkaloid. After that, you get Iboga. So it's pretty much like a baby, Iboga's baby. That's what it is, Ibogaine.
Well, the effectiveness of Ibogaine in opiate detox is uncomparable to anything else. The only other thing that they would be able to compare it to is if they just switch opiates, switching from heroin to methadone or heroin to Suboxone. You're not actually escaping the opiate dependency. As far as anything that can actually stop the withdrawals, that you only have to take for 2 days or 3 days for follow-up, there is nothing that stops and resets the memory of opiate addiction in the body. Not only is it address the symptoms of withdrawals and discomfort, but it also works in the craving center of the mind. So the individual, by the time they've completed treatment, has no desire whatsoever within a 10 days to 2 week period to touch opiates. Now that's ultimately the goal that we like to achieve with people. People come at different stages of their addiction. Most people, by the time they get to Mexico, are very interested in making this transition in their life, and so it's not very difficult for them to obtain those results.
Because let's say someone just came for detox. They're gonna get detox, and then you have Iboga, you have Ibogaine. They want to do detox. You don't know how that works. It's just because you're reading the papers. You're gonna give to that guy. He might die because you don't have experience on it. You don't have any knowledge of it. You have to know exactly whether the person having only drugs in the body or they have the evil spirit in them, because those two goes together, the drug and the evil spirit. That's the one pushing those guys. That's after you do detox. After you detox, you find some guy going back on the drugs, let's say 2 months later. And people asking like, what? Wait a minute, this guy just did detox maybe like a month ago, but he's using drugs again. Well, there's a problem right there, because it's not just healing the body. He had to heal the body, he had to heal the soul, he had to heal the mind. And the evil spirit will stuck in there also. That's the one that's like pushing you, telling you like, hey man, I know you want this. You see that? Come on, you'll be fine, don't worry. And once you follow, you go back there, easy. So that's why I use straight roots, because straight roots, like we have the main spirit. Even though it's the same thing with the Ibogaine, but I got a code, I got the language. I ask the roots, like when you go to that person's body, whatever you find in there, he has to be out. And I'll be sitting, activating, make sure it's doing his work properly. And the part of it also is the screening. When you receive the patient for the first time, you have to be able to screen the person, because again, you never know where they've been. You don't know. Somebody might tell you, okay, I'm Muslim or I'm Christian. How do you know it's for sure? Maybe he was like worshiping the devil somehow, or he was trapped in a cult or religion, and he's got drugs in his body, but he's just trying to find a way. It's like, he needs help, but he cannot tell you like, okay, man, I've been doing this before, but I need you to help me. They're not going to tell you that. So it's up to you to find out yourself, because you don't want anybody to die in your arms. And that's why you see people dying. If you see somebody taking Ibogaine and you got drugs in your body, or you just like inject yourself, oh yeah, you're looking for death, because it's going to be a fight, a war in your body. Who's going to support it? You. Your heart won't take it. That's why you see people dying with Ibogaine. It's the same spirit. But if you know the roots, or you know the Ibogaine, you know the works, you know the spirit, because you have to guide, like I was saying, like it's like a car. If you want to go from point B, from point A to B, you're the driver. You want to go left, you go left. You want to go right, you go right. That's the same thing. You have to be able to drive them. Like, okay, this guy is a heroin addict, but now he's got a bad spirit in him. You take the bad spirit first. You're not just gonna give somebody the medicine. No. Otherwise, unless you're lucky enough, like the guy is clean, just the drugs, he's got just the drugs. That's fine. But you're not gonna get those type of guys all the time. Now you're gonna have good guys, which like they just probably started doing drugs 2 years ago. But most guys, they've been doing drugs for 10 years. And on top of that, they got a lot of stuff on the top of it. It's the same thing with a psycho-spiritual. It's the same thing. You use Ibogaine for psycho-spiritual. You use Iboga also for psycho-spiritual. But the main thing is the driver. Who's driving it? Not the patient, but you. Who's giving the person the medicine. That's what it is. So there's also, the main difference with Iboga and Ibogaine is, I might use Ibogaine to initiate somebody, but you can't. And I don't recommend anybody just to be taking Ibogaine without knowledge, or Iboga, not knowing, people start to buy Iboga online, which is it's cool for me. You know, I don't care about it. Whoever wants to buy Ibogaine online, that's cool. But are they ready for the next step? Because you see that spirit and that root. Once you take them on your own, just be ready about the door was going to open. You know, which will open somehow on you. And once that door is open, you can't go back. You have to enter. Once you enter, how are you going to do to come back? That's the only problem of taking Ibogaine or Iboga on your own. Once you open that door, man, you can't come back.
Ultimately, all the therapies are the same. It's trying to reintroduce somebody back into their body in a way that they can fulfill their dharma or their purpose for being here. And in order to do that, we believe the same way that the Bwiti do is that you have to have a life, death, and rebirth experience in order to kill the old self. And the Ibogaine facilitates that process, completely dismantling in the consciousness those pieces of history that have been a distraction and obstacles to finding what your true purpose is. We all create fears in our lives, and it's really simple, you know, to see how we can create limitations and boundaries within ourselves. There's no limitations or boundaries within this planet. And so, you know, what is it that's causing these boundaries and limitations? The Ibogaine doesn't always come in like a magic bullet, but it will definitely facilitate a single degree of change, which over time manifests into a new path. And that's our ultimate goal in all of our therapies. It's not just to detox someone, it's not just to help them answer questions about who they are, and it's not just about, you know, making them feel better from withdrawals or symptoms of cravings. It's what are you here to do? Yeah. And that's where I find the most fun, is trying to achieve that particular goal. The reason why we came to Mexico is for a few different reasons. Some of it was my experience working in the underground and seeing the results of that. The other one was seeing the results of working at a border town where it is legal, because Ibogaine is not legal in the United States, and I don't think anytime soon they're even going to even consider it. I tried to get an underground place in Portland, but it just never came together. I now realize, and then after having a couple sessions where we got to commune with spirit, it wanted to be in an environment where there was elements of the tropics. The singing bugs at night and the frogs. Banana trees were really important, so were coconut trees. A warmer climate with a little bit of humidity, warm salt water. And so these elements were pretty predominant in our search to find the best natural setting, but also as close as possible for people to come to. And so Puerto Vallarta was the first place that came to my mind. We talked about a couple other places in Mexico, but this was the one that had all those elements and had the proper transportation systems to get here. And then from there we were just leaded north into this beautiful little town that we live in now and where we operate, and feel really blessed, you know, just really blessed that this community's accepted us.